Sammy, or I call him Pop Pop. And we're just here catching up and giving back to the community and talking about our special guest for today, Miss Tynietta.
Hello.
Hey. So what brings you here?
I came to talk about my foundation, Jameil Aikeem Congo Cares, JACC for short. That's what we're known by. I lost my son to gun violence in 2017. He was actually killed for sitting on a step. Wow. He was sitting on a step waiting on his food. And the guy wanted him to move. I guess my son didn't move fast enough. And yeah, the guy said he felt disrespected. So he killed my son for sitting on a step.
Man.
He left behind 2 small children. At the time, they were 3 and 1.
How long ago was this?
7 years.
7 years ago. So when did you get the idea to start this gun violence support group?
Well, it got to the point where I didn't want to keep memorializing his death. Because if you notice and if you pay attention to around town, there's tons of memorials everywhere.
Yes.
I don't want to remember his death. I want to remember his life and the life that he lived and the lives that he touched.
Right.
So I originally started just wanting to get a group of like-minded people like myself just to come together and, so we could talk about our feelings and share. But then it took a leg of its own. Next thing I know, someone's walking me through the process to get my nonprofit, and it just kind of took legs from there. It's like the board formed itself and everything. They were like, no, it's bigger than just what you're trying to make it. So we do our support groups monthly. We were at the Route 9 library. Now we're at the Wilmington Library. It's the 4th Tuesday of every month at 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a lot that we want to do. My other son, he's working on trying to get together like a little basketball camp, for the kids, because it's not a lot to do for the kids and things. And so just trying to find things to do. But we have the support groups. We actually have, I have a case manager, I have a life coach, and I have partnerships with a few mental health professionals on board as well. So if we see that you need more than just somebody to listen to you or whatever, and we feel like you're going to hurt yourself or others and you need, professional help, we do have mental health partners that we will, refer you to, and the foundation will pay for that first hour to make that initial connection so that you can get that mental health help that you need, because that's important.
That's great.
Yeah, and then another thing we started doing this year is we have our gun violence roundtable discussions. So what we do is we pick a topic like, we have one coming up May 21st, and that topic is on violence in the community. This is part 2, actually. Last month we started it, and we did with some of the organizations that are out here. We did the City of Wilmington, we did Moms Demand Action, and we did Delaware Coalition Against Gun Violence. So these are like major organizations.
Right.
So we wanted to know what they were doing. Talk to us, let us know what you're doing, what's going on, what's out there.
Right.
Are we coming to work together? My thing is, you can't be siloed trying to fight this fight with gun violence. You have to come together as a collective. So that's what that conversation is about, and it was going to be about in part 2, because we have Dr. David Chen from Christiana Hospital, because they have a really good program that they started where they actually try to reach them while they're in the hospital before they even, leave out of the hospital, to help link them with resources and things and follow them. So we need to know what's out there. We need to know what's going on, and we need to know how we all can work together.
Right.
So we cover various topics. We'll be talking about like self-care, because that's important, and things like that. So I plan to keep the conversation going. I don't want to let it die.
Of course.
So we do those monthly. They're the second Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock.
Second Tuesday. Wow. Okay. And so what exactly goes down with these group meetings?
I have a program that I follow. I have a journal. So, you know, we just talk through. We do an exercise to see where we are today. Where are you at today in your grief? You know, is this fresh? Is it recurring? You know, are you having a moment? So, you know, you pick the color that describes where you are in your grief at that moment. And then we talk about it. I think the thing is we provide a safe space for you to open up and share and not be judged because of how you feel.
That's great.
So, because a lot of people, they won't share, they won't talk because they feel like they're being judged. And I understand that because I had a particular incident where someone told me, you've been grieving long enough. It's time to let that go. You can't get over losing a child. There's no such thing as that's enough, you know? So letting them know that which you say here stays here, and that's the important thing. And we will not criticize you for how you feel. So that's the main thing that goes on in these groups. We just talk and we share and we learn ways to deal with our moments, and we understand grief and why we're feeling the way we feel. Why when I wake up one morning, I don't feel like living life today. But that's not saying that I want to kill myself, you see? So when you make comments like that, people automatically go into, oh my gosh, in panic mode. And that's not helpful.
There's like levels to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, that's not helpful. It's just how I feel that day. I don't feel like living life today without my son, but that's not saying that I'm going to kill myself or anything like that. So, you know, you want to be around people that understand when you make comments like that and when you talk like that. And, you know, it just gives them the open floor to just sit and talk through how they're feeling without being judged or criticized or looked at sideways or anything like that.
That's very impactful. I have a question. So is this for people who have lost somebody, or is it like, so say just somebody is affected by gun violence? So say my friend, he was in like a shooting, he might have got shot, or maybe he's seen the shooting. Is it for like anybody in that area? That's great.
If you've done the shooting,
no,
and you are getting yourself together, and this is part of your healing and your whatever you call it, I can't think of the word. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
But when you're trying to reinvent yourself, and
like
you know, turning over a new leaf, and you know, you want to understand and learn why you do what you do or why you did what you did. That's for you too.
Wow, that's great. I did not even know that.
That's for you too. But you know, if you have a neighbor and your neighbor was shot and you saw it, or you even heard the gunshots, it's for everybody that's affected, because everyone's in some type of way is affected by gun violence. Right. So, it doesn't necessarily always have to be the person that was shot or someone that lost someone. You know, everybody's affected just in the neighborhood. For example, I still live right around the corner from where my son was killed. And that affects me every day. I have to go home and I go past that location.
That's rough.
It is very. So, and then, you know, looking at, you know, my grandkids and, you know, listening to my granddaughter while she's playing, and, you know, she's talking about her daddy, and then how she's like, I want to go see my daddy. And I can't bring myself to sit at the gravesite. So, you know, I always do something different to try and divert her attention. But, you know, it's hard, you know, when you have a 3-year-old, because she was 3 when her father was killed. And she's looking at him and she's like, my daddy's asleep. I want my daddy to wake up. How do you tell a 3-year-old that her daddy's not coming back?
You can't.
Because he was sitting on the step. And it goes back to that.
Exactly. That's rough.
How old was this whole experience? What were the age of the
My son was 23. The man that killed him was in his 40s.
40s?
And he couldn't handle that situation any better than that. Apparently, when he told my son to get up, my son made a remark. And the people that were outside were laughing So that's when he felt disrespected, because he said the old heads that was out there was laughing at him, and he felt disrespected. So he ran in his house and got his gun and killed him and his friend. His friend died instantly. My son died at the hospital on the operating table.
And he was 21 at that time?
He was 23.
22 at that time. I guess I'm very interested in how the stigma is placed on our people. And we fall for that stigma, and we are defined by a setting that is, I believe, is there, and we are tainted by a trap to keep us down. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that young black men are in an awful situation that that they are almost impossible unless you're, especially poor. I mean, people who don't have all the goodies. The one who's living at La La Land and has all the support systems, they're more likely to be successful. But the ones who don't have those support systems, they're building jails right now for them, and they're hiring more judges to be able to make this system effective. Now, anybody say you're crazy, nobody would do that. I don't believe that any norm. What is the norm? People aren't born to do that. They are conditioned to do that in an environment that allows you to behave in that manner.
And if you look at it, I was actually having a conversation with Aunt Wendy. And when we were coming up, we had like the Big Brother, Big Sisters. We had the Advocate program. The community centers, were open, and we weren't scared to go and play, and it's like that's missing. A lot of what we need and that we had when I was coming up is missing. It's not there. And then even with the summer jobs now, it's like a lottery or something. When I was coming up, all the kids had a summer job. It wasn't a such thing as only a handful and you gotta make the cut. And then so if you don't make the cut, what's gonna happen with the rest of the kids? Parents gotta work, so the kids are running the streets. They're getting they're getting the wrong kind of attention. So yeah, it's definitely a stigma.
Well, it seems to me, as you look around, the programs that you are referring to have been cut. That is Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, Eagle Scouts, and then social buildings that were in our community. That the YMCA, the programs that was in the YMCA when I was there, just aren't there today.
No,
there was more volunteer leadership from parents to be involved with their children. That's not a part of the culture that we've been forced in. It should have been, because there were less opportunities when I came along, we should have been deeply involved in some real problems. But because of the culture that we were in, it was not as violent. The violence is, I believe, encouraged by something. You're not born to do that. So why is it so prevalent in poor communities? Okay.
I wish I could sit here and give you a socioeconomic, intellectual answer to that question, but I can't, because I asked that same question. And I say that because a few months ago, it was a group of kids, and they were following this little boy up and down the street, and they were trying to entice him to fight. And the little boy was like, I don't want to fight, leave me alone. And they just kept at him and kept at him until he finally threw his book bag down. It's like, come on. And when I saw that, I ran out there and I snatched the little boy and I brought him in my house. Now, I don't know none of these kids. And, you know, and I talked to him and I showed him pictures of my son, and I told him how I lost my son to gun violence and things like that. So a lot of times you see, you know, the kids are out and, you know, they're not accounted for. You know, their parents aren't, you know, watching them. But, you know, it's like two sides to every coin. Because when I was coming up and then my mom was working 2 jobs, we were latchkey kids. But where we were, our neighbors, you know, kept our eye on us. If we were doing something we didn't have any business doing, our neighbor would tear our behind up and then call my mom and tell my mom. And if you think you're getting help from her, she'd come home and beat you too because you knew better. You can't do that with these kids nowadays. You can't watch over them. Because first thing is, oh, you're not my mom, you're not my dad, you don't tell me what to do. And then if you try and talk to the parents, sometimes you get lashback from the parent.
Right.
So it's a lot that falls into it. It's a lot. So I wish that I had like a cure-all answer that'll just clear everything up like that. But.
You know, I think the answers are there, but we're not programmed to use the answers. We're programmed to say the answers are not real for us. Because if you follow through, there are very few people that don't have the answers. And if you back them in a corner, they'll tell you the answer. But they will use another approach toward that. I call it the drum major instinct, because they want to be recognized in a very, I think it's negative when you know that your kid is wrong and yet you still uphold them. You know, and I think there has to be a relationship, and this is, you know, just my thoughts, there has to be a relationship between the police and the families. Because when the families see the police, a barrier goes up. They're not going to cooperate because of this.
No snitching. And that's the big thing. They say snitches get stitches, and I ain't no snitching. But you see what's wrong. And you're not helping the matter. You're only adding fuel to the fire.
Yep.
Because you won't snitch, but you'll go and pick up a gun and try and go and get revenge, instead of just letting the law do what the law is supposed to do.
Well, it seems to me that the law is supposed to be a support system for the community. The police work for the community, but they do not, as I see it, they have not been trained to do that. You know, they come in with a dictator power. They have all kinds of power, and I think they abuse it.
Yeah, I can see that. And then it makes it bad for the ones that do care for their community and that want to make a difference. But that stigmatism is there because you have the ones that think they got the badge and the gun, so they got all the power. So, you know, it makes the ones that are doing good seem less important to the ones that are out here being rogue. So, you know, I could see, you know, how you feel that way, and it's definitely true.
You know, I believe that there should be a police review board through the citizens. How can I be a review for my grandson? I'm going to show partiality, and I'm going to try to keep him from being disciplined. If I was a policeman and he was a policeman, I'm going to look after him. but the public is not allowed to. There are laws in this state that says that the citizen, we cannot have a review board that, what's the right word here, that hears, has a hearing for policemen. They have their own internal stuff that, and you know what that is all about. So they began, and I believe that most policemen take that oath very seriously, but because of outside forces, and they can get in trouble in the police department if they get too friendly with a family or with a community, and they feel if you get too friendly, you can't do your job. And I believe that to be true, and that's not what I would like to be true. But when I talk with, I think that 90% of the policemen are wonderful people, police ladies and policemen. I get treated royally, but I don't use myself as an example. I think that I am less affected by them because I don't live in the city, or I'm too old now to create problems. But if I had a problem, then I would handle it better because I've been trained better that we need to respect each other. But if you would just be a fly on the wall and police come in, they come in pretty rough if they're called to handle a situation. They got all the equipment in the world to use. They don't have to be afraid. They don't have to be the way some of them come in. And this is training. This is training that this is how you make sure you have control. You don't want control. You want to be able to go there and solve the problem. And I just think that it's that kind of structure that leads in to where there's no respect for one another. And we begin to develop attitudes through that kind of structure. It's like the young man who said to your son that he was disrespecting him. You know, that's kind of what goes on in our community today. He disrespected me, so I responded in this way. I don't think that they really know what disrespect really is.
I don't think they know either. Because and then, like I said, he's so much older than my son. My son never even made the C-25. He could have handled that situation so much better.
Definitely.
So much better.
Definitely.
So, and then I think the hardest part out of all of it was when we went to, I went to his hearing thing, and all day, everybody was asking me, well, because I had to make a victim statement. So like, well, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? I don't know what I'm going to say. I said, I won't know until I get up there, and I pray and ask God to give me the words to say when I open my mouth, because I had no idea what to say. I have been struggling with the whole forgiveness thing, and that plays a lot. That plays a very important part in everything too, that forgiveness piece. So he's up there and he's like, I'm sorry, and I could have handled it different. Yeah, you could have, but you get to live your life, even though you're behind. And people say, oh, well, at least he got all these years in jail. It don't matter. He still has his life. My child is gone. He can get visitors. You know what I mean? What I got to do, go dig my son up to hug his body? It's not fair. But, me being a Christian, that I am, I was taught forgiveness and I was taught to forgive. So that's what I did. But that doesn't mean I'll ever forget. You know, I forgave so that I can be free. I didn't forgive him for him. I forgave him for me so that I could begin my healing journey and my pattern. You know, and that's, you know, something that we talk about in our groups and stuff. You know, forgiving yourself, because I blamed myself. You know, I blamed, you know, my circumstance. I placed the blame on everything except where it was. So I had to stop, you know, blaming myself for what happened. So, but, you know, it's a lot. And, you know, people don't, that whole respect thing, I understand where they're coming from, but there are ways to handle, you know, situations. So,
You know, one of the hardest things to do is to put things like that behind you. That's tough. But as long as you keep it, it's a burden on you, and we all don't realize it. We say, I can't forgive. Well, you're the only one that's being affected by it. And you gotta learn how to, and I'm as guilty as you are. I mean, but as I watch people, and as I begin to believe that if I'm gonna go forward, I don't wanna carry any baggage. And what am I doing to prevent it? You know, it's going to be there hanging on me until I say, I got to put that behind me, and I got to carry my life, and I hope I can do a better job, and you know, all that stuff. But as long as you hold on to it, it's going to plague you.
yeah,
And,
that's why I do this. This is my way of keeping his name and his memory alive without, you know, doing the balloon releases and the memorials, because that was memorializing his death. I don't want to celebrate his death. I want to celebrate his life.
Right.
He was fun. He was outgoing. He helped everybody. Even when I said no, I would still wake up stepping over bodies in my living room because he had all these people in my house because they didn't have nowhere to sleep. And I'm like, boy, you barely got somewhere to sleep. But that's just the type of person that he was. So, you know, that's why I started the foundation, you know, to keep his, and to establish a legacy to leave to his children, so they'll have something to carry on, you know, when they get older. And then by providing, you know, the support and things like that to help others go through what I went through.
I think we better take a break,
Yeah.
and we'll be back with in just a few minutes. This is very interesting to me.
DETV has been Delaware's premium provider of creative digital and broadcasting solutions that bridges communities and connects people. We create great stories for all audiences. We deliver independent news throughout Delaware. We are digital platform innovators. And we develop marketing and sales solutions so you can stay connected to your audience. Now, why do we do what we do here on DETV? We do it because we care. So, keep watching and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Remember, DETV, online, on air, on time.
Welcome back to the Congo Hour. And again, we're here with Miss Tynietta. She is spreading her information on her support group, her non-profit support group, Jack Cares. So, you said that you had some brochures.
Oh, I have some, yes, just to share with you all so y'all can pass out.
Right
The
here.
brochure actually talks about the nonprofit, what we do, and how to get in touch with me as well.
Oh, cool.
If you feel like you need someone to talk to, but you don't want to go to the support group, you can reach me at the email on the brochure. The email is Jameil Aikeem Congo Cares @gmail.com.
Wow.
Again, that's Jameil Aikeem Congo cares at Gmail.
Make sure to put that up on the
Yeah,
thing.
if I said it too fast,
Yeah.
you can find us on Facebook, same name, Jameil Aikeem Congo cares. So even if you type in Jameil wrong, it'll still catch it.
It'll still catch it. That's nice.
Yeah, and then the contact information is on there as well. You know, I can meet you. We could go to coffee. We could do lunch. You know, we could go. We could sit at the library just so you could talk. But we are here, and like I said, I have a case manager, and what she does is, as you're coming to the groups, and then we don't see you, then the case manager will reach out to you to see if you're okay, to see how you're doing, to see if you need help with anything. We connect, and we're building a big resource database. So if it's something that we can't help with directly, we will refer you to one of our partners that will, like if you need help with your rent or your lights or you know, clothes and things like that. You know, we have, you know, we've been making networking connections and things like that, and we can refer you to someone who can help you with that particular issue. So don't not come to the groups because you're going through something. You know, just talk to the case manager, and she will help you get the help that you need. And then since we operate through donations, so whatever grants and funding we get, that's what we have to help. So if we have it in our budget to do it, we'll do it. If not, we will refer you to someone who can. So we're not just going to leave you hanging. We want to take the whole holistic approach, not just, you know, do this and then send you on your way. No, we want to follow you, want to make sure that you're okay. We want to make sure that you're getting the help that you need. You know, we have a life coach. So even in the groups, as you start to get better with your grief and handling things, and you begin to put your life back together, you know, the life coach is there to help guide you through your process. You know, to listen to your hopes and your dreams and what it is you want to do, and how we can encourage you and take the next steps that you need to continue living life. Because for me, at one point when I lost my son, my life stopped. I didn't go to work. I wasn't paying my bills. It's a wonder I wasn't put out on the street. But I had to get out of that because I had to remember I had another son at home, and I had 5 grandkids that I had to live for. So I couldn't just not live. But, you know, I had to learn. So, you know, I got that mental health help that I need. And even though it's been 7 years, I still go. You know, they have this thing where our folk, our people have this stigmatism where Black folk don't go to counseling, they go to church. And that's true. I go to church, but I go to counseling as well.
That's good.
Because it helps. So that's why we have the mental health professionals, you know, that we partner with, and that they're willing to take on anyone that we refer to them. And that's very important. So like I said earlier, as we're in our groups and we see that they need more than just the safe space that we provide, and that it's deeper than just that, we will refer them to get that, to make that the initial connection, to get the help that they need.
Yeah.
So.
I had a question, just real quick. So do you see your nonprofit group making a push towards against gun violence in the future?
Yes. I see the support groups spreading out and having more than just one a month. You know, I see us, you know, venturing out downstate. I've actually had a few people reach out to me from Smyrna and from Milford. So I do plan it. I don't want to just be located only in Wilmington.
Right.
I want to be statewide.
Okay.
And then hopefully down the line, you know, I can build up some traction and partner with some of the organizations in Philly, because they have some things that's going on too.
Yeah,
so I would like to make connections with them as well. My goal is to be getting to the point where I run this full time.
Right.
So, because this is where my passion is. And at first it was something that I fought God against because I didn't want to do it. But I had to surrender my will to His will. And once I did that, things just started rolling in. Yeah, just rolling in.
Wow.
So
That's great.
yeah.
I think that a lot of what influences the youth especially is just like the social media, and especially with music, I feel like none of this stuff, it's like it can't be created really in the household. I think when you're like listening to these rappers these days, especially at a very young age, you know what I mean? It can very much so like influence them and kind of like what you were kind of like talking about. Like there's probably like 1,000 songs about like not like snitching. You know what I mean? So I also think that's like a big part that plays into it too.
It is, and a lot of that goes back to, and I hate to keep saying it, but it goes back to the parents. And before everybody gets offensive, what I mean is because we work a lot, some of us work to, even one point, even me, I was working 2 jobs and trying to do the foundation, and I'm a newlywed. So we get so caught up, thank you. So getting caught up, you know, in working to provide for your family, a lot of times, you know, you give your kids the devices, go watch YouTube, go do this, go do that, or whatever, because you're tired, you know, or you have to get ready for work, or you have to do this and you have to do that. So electronics ends up raising the kids. So and that can have either a positive or a negative effect, especially if you're not paying attention to what your kid is listening to, what your child is watching. So yeah, social media does play a big part. And then especially TikTok.
That's the big one.
Especially
that's probably the biggest one, honestly.
Yeah, especially TikTok. At first, Snapchat used to be the big thing. Now it's TikTok.
TikTok is such a big thing because, say I see one video about like shooting or violence or like people being beat up for like snitching or something like that. TikTok will keep on showing you that video because it can tell that you're like engaged in it.
It's the algorithm. Whatever you watch, while you're scrolling, whatever you stop and watch, that algorithm will pick it up. So every time you go on that media platform, those are the ones that's going to come up first.
But I mean, there are ways for parents to control that from their phones. It's just like, you just have to kind of like know about it, I guess. But it's actually very easy because I have 2 brothers and sisters who are around like 10 and 13 who are always on TikTok. And I'm trying to get into the process of having them have like limits. And so they're not always on it, you know what I mean? Or kind of like off it, just like altogether, honestly.
Yeah, you just limit their time and then have the parental controls, you know, so that they are only allowed to see certain things.
Certain stuff, yeah. I agree.
Are you able to, once you hear of something that happens, get involved with either of the families and just try to
I try, like when we hear of a shooting or whatever, when I hear that there's a gathering, I do go to try and make connections. I have a partner that, a foundation that I partner with, Stop the Violence Prayer Chain with Pastor Margaret Guy. She's really good at putting together the marches and stuff and going out on location to where people, were shot and stuff. And so I go, when she puts the call out that's where we're going, I go. But I try to show up, and I bring my things, and and I talk, and I try to make connections. I actually did try to reach out with the police department to talk with victim services to see if there was a way like I could get some information from them so that I can go, take like a care package or whatever to the family and talk to them and offer my services. But the whole confidentiality thing,
you can't get past that.
Yeah, so
you cannot get past that whatsoever.
Yeah, so I just keep anywhere I can show up and spread the word, I do. That's why, I kept pushing to be on here so I could spread the word. Like I said, I network and partner with other organizations. When we have our meetings and things, I talk about it. I do vending events when things are happening. Like there was a record expungement thing last week at Kingswood, so I did a vendor table there, and I talked about the services and stuff that we offer there. I try to get out as much as I can and network as much as I can to get the word out. that we are here and that's what we're doing. And, this is who we are.
When you say we, how many people do you have that work with you?
Well, I'm the executive director, and I have a board of 8, and then I have the case manager, the life coach, and then the 2 mental health professionals.
Okay.
Yeah, but since I'm the face of the foundation, I'm the one that's, and then I have one of my members at large. She's out.
Do you advocate for volunteers, or that's not your design?
I do. I probably should advocate for more, but I've been so busy. But yeah, I do. Anyone's welcome to volunteer. The door's open because I can't do it by myself. So yeah. So, but yeah, and I talk about the foundation a lot. So just about everyone I come in contact with. So, and I do offer, if you want to be a part, if you want to volunteer, even if it's once every other month or when you can, I'm good with that. Just give me your information and let me know. So.
You say it's on the 4th Tuesday of every month, or the 2nd?
The 4th Tuesday of every month is the support group.
Okay.
The 2nd Tuesday of every month is the gun violence roundtable discussion. Did I give you those as well? So I have some. I'll just give you all of those you can share. One is the roundtable, and one is the support groups.
Oh, it's on Zoom. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I'm going to put the support groups on Zoom too for those that can't make it in person. So yeah, the roundtable discussions are going to be on Zoom. And it's going to be streamed on Facebook. Yeah, and the flyer that I gave you, we have one coming up on May 21st at 7 p.m.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking to Corey Priest, the Community Engagement Specialist from the Department of Justice, Dr. David Chen from Christiana Care, and Tynietta Congo.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about, I want to know what's being done. I want to know what the city's doing. I want to know what the hospital's doing. I want to know what the state's doing. And I want to know if they're working together. If they're not, why? Because my thing is, if they're supposed to be the lead and they're not working together, how do they expect us to work together and follow them if they're not setting a good example for us to follow?
I agree. That's a great point.
So I want to know what they're doing, what they have in the works, what's going on, how we can find out more information about whatever programs that are going on so that we can share, so that I can share with people that I could come in contact with. I say, hey, well, Christiana Care has this program. Give them a call and see how they can help you get this or help you get that. So I need all the information that I can gather so that I can share so that we can get the help that we need.
I have a question. So, do you think that the problem is the guns, or is it people's mental health?
I think guns don't kill people.
Yeah, that's exactly.
People kill people with guns. I think it's more of a mental health thing. It's mental health. It's economic. Because if you look at the prices of rent and things, you can't afford it.
No.
You can't afford it. Rent is ridiculous. So either you're going to pay your car note or you're going to pay your rent. Either you're going to pay your rent or you're going to pay your light bill. You see what I'm saying? So, it's a lot. So there's a lot of adverse things behind the scenes that comes into play before that person even picks up that gun. So we have to get to the root cause of what's going on.
Right.
And because you got to kill the root, or else stuff is just going to grow. Right.
Do you think that there should be some kind of procedure so it's not so easy to access guns, or like try to make it a more controlled kind of way to obtain them?
Yes. But not only that, and I think that no matter how much we do as far as the law and stuff, people are going to find a way to get it.
Just like everything. Exactly.
Just like everything. Just like drugs. We didn't bring drugs here. They brought drugs here.
Right.
And then gave it to us and then locked us up for it. You see?
So,
no matter what law they put in place, people are going to find a way. Either you're going to have someone that has a good record, clear cut, 9-to-5 job, apply for a gun, get the gun, and then
And
give it
still-
to the nephew. Or leave it out in sight where the nephew sees it and the nephew grabs it. So then he turns around and reports that gun stolen. Because you left it out. You knew what you were doing. You see? So I was just using that as an example. I don't know if
Right.
it's true or not. Don't hold it against me.
No, I
but,
don't.
that's a lot of what happens. So, I think once it's all mental health, and then, it goes back to being able to be honest with your feelings and be open and share. And let's face it, a lot of men don't share. They're not going to be open and honest with their feelings. They're not going to admit that their feelings was hurt because they lost their uncle or they lost their nephew. You know what I mean? They're not going to talk about it. They were taught men don't cry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely trying to bring attention to the fact that men do cry. You know what I mean? I think that that's a big problem with like the whole gun violence thing. Like kind of like you said, like men don't share their feelings or anything. They kind of like pent it up, and then they can't take it anymore, and then have like a breaking point. But there has to be some kind of change.
Yeah, and then in doing this, I see a lot of women. You very rarely see. It's like maybe a handful of men that's out here trying to do something, about this gun violence, about, mentoring the kids in the communities and things like that. But it's a handful. The women are out here and they outnumber the men.
Wow.
And that needs to be switched.
I agree.
That needs to be flipped.
I agree.
Just like when I was coming up, we had the mentor programs and things like that. And I did talk to someone from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they were like, I'm like, where have y'all been? I haven't seen y'all since I was like 10. And he's like, so much has changed. We can't even do half the things we used to do because there's so much unfortunate stuff that happened within the organization. They had to regroup. So by them regrouping and refocusing, that cut out a lot of the stuff that they used to do.
Wow.
So how do we get that back? Just like with Duffy Soap and the whole basketball and stuff, you don't see that too much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it did happen last year, but I see what you mean. It was more prevalent in the past decade.
Yeah.
For sure, because I remember it was like kind of like the biggest thing when I was a kid. But I mean, it's still there, but it has to have some more attention to it.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, my sons used to play basketball and everything, the little summer leagues that they had. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And then it's stuff that is there you can't afford. You can't afford unless you're working 3 and 4 jobs.
They are building blocks that allow you to get through the next door, by having someone to encourage you or teach you how to be modest or let them know how important homework is, even though you may not get a B, if you or an A, personality can get you a grade also.
That's true.
So, personality probably is stronger than the grade if you want to get a job. But I believe that we are fenced in, and we can't get out. Not the system that was built to keep us in. We got to reject that and do our own. I really believe that.
Yeah,
Through
but
the
we have to come
churches.
together to do that.
Yes.
So how do you get us to come together? Because that's what I see. We're so siloed. And then, okay, for example, before my son was killed, I live on North Side. So we live off of 22nd. Okay, so my son was telling, and I thought it was the weirdest thing, but I was going to send him somewhere. He said, Mom, I can't go past Market Street and go up the hill. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, they're called up top and we're called down bottom. The up top boys don't fool with the down bottom boys. He says, you know how many fights I've been going up top? And I'm like, that makes no sense.
It's the same city.
We're all brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're all of the same color. What are you telling me? He's like, that's just how it is. One group don't mess with the other group. And I'm like, that makes no sense. So how can we come together when we're so divided within our own culture?
I think that it's all part of like young people want to be a part of something. You know what I mean? And when these schools and these organizations aren't providing them to go to sports or clubs or after school activities, they're gonna find something else to be a part of. Everybody wants to be a part of something. You know what I mean? And so that's just kind of what they gravitate towards, unfortunately, but I definitely agree.
That's the sad part. And then when the absentee fathers are not in the child's life, and then, you know, the corner boy is showing the young boy love, you know, like the mom is struggling, so he's got holes in his sneakers. Here's the corner boy, come here, young bro, come here, come here. Here, take this and go get you some sneakers, man. You can, so now, you know, he's looking up to the corner boy. Because the father is not there.
It's a,
and then, you know, even with the females, you got them, you know, running around with the boys with the pants hanging off their behind and everything else. Where are the morals, values, and standards? What are you teaching your female? You know, but if you're running from man to man to man, then that's what your daughter is seeing. Then that's what your daughter's going to do, because she's going to do what she sees and not what you say.
That's, I mean, I 100% agree with you, and I think that there's changes to be made, and with this support group, I think we're heading in the right direction.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
Of course. Do you have any final things you want to say before we?
No, just that we are here. We are here for you. We are here to help you. We're here to help you navigate through your grief and through your moments, and provide a safe space for you to do so. Again, you can reach us at Jameil Aikeem Congo Cares at Gmail, or you can find us on Facebook.
All right. And you have anything about?
Just proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that you have the courage to try to do something about the problems. And that's very important. And that makes you a great mom, and we need more of you that are more sensitive to, you know, what we didn't come here with. You know, every ethnic group came to America with the tools to be successful. We came here as slaves and with no tools. So the culture that we need, we didn't bring our culture with us. It was taken away and said, this is how you have to behave. And so we have to, as you say, relearn how we have an identity as a group of us.
And we don't have to stay stuck in that past mindset.
Right.
You know, in order for us to move forward, we have to get out of that mindset. We have to learn how to come together collectively and stop worrying about me, and being jealous of the next person. Your success is my success, and my success is your success, because we're the same culture. If you pay attention to $20 in a Jewish community, that $20 go around that community, 5 times before it leaves out that community, because they support one another. If we learn to support one another and encourage one another and uplift one another, we can get so much further.
I agree.
Okay, well, you've been great, and I
Thank
think they're
you.
ready to sign off.
Okay.
And, I look forward to having you at Congo Day.
Okay, I look forward to being there. Make sure I get all the information, and
We will.
I'll gather every Congo I know.
We will. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.